I've been busy, so I have a few news items to catch up on, so I'll just start with last week. Without further ado, let's get into it. First up, I've seen a story misreported by the media and by other creators. Eli Lilly has finally released the two highest doses of Zepbound in single-dose vials for their cash pay customers. So that would be both the 12.5 milligram and the 15 milligram doses. There was a mention by the news and others that they also dropped the price for the medication. They didn't.
Eli Lilly is reducing the price of the highest doses of its popular drug Zepbound for folks who aren't using insurance.
The story pretty much ends at them now releasing the two highest doses. And that's pretty much it. If you remember back in February, they released both the 7.5 milligram and 10 milligram doses in single dose vials. Now, when they did that, they set the price for the starter dose, or the 2.5 milligram dose, at $349. They then lowered the price for the 5 milligram dose from $549 down to $499. They also set the price for both the 7.5 milligram and 10 milligram doses at $499, with the caveat, of course. Your first dose on the 7.5 milligram and 10 milligram doses would be $499. After that, the 7.5 milligram dose would increase to $599, and the 10 milligram dose would increase to $699, unless you ordered your refill within 45 days. If you refill within 45 days, this will keep the price for both the doses at $499. This is a measure they implemented to try to prevent people from splitting doses and trying to extend the life of their single-dose vials to save money. They did the same thing with the release of the 12.5 milligram and 15 milligram doses. The first dose of each is priced at $499, and any refill made within 45 days would stay at that $499 price. Now, if not refilled within the 45 days, the 12.5 milligram dose price would jump to $849, and the 15 milligram dose would increase to $1,049. Again, an effort to prevent dose splitting. It is important to note that providers cannot start submitting prescriptions for these two higher doses, the 12.5 milligram and the 15 milligram dose, until July 7th. And then the shipments for those doses will not go out until early August. That's something to be mindful of if you are seeking these higher doses via Lilly Direct's cash pay option. Now on to some Novo Nordisk news in Canada. Richard Saynor, the CEO of a company named Sandoz, did an interview with Endpoint News. Now, Sandoz is a Swiss pharmaceutical company that focuses on generics and biosimilars. In the interview, he was asked if his company planned to launch generic GLP1s in Canada and Brazil in 2026. He replied, Canada. And he notes that Novo never filed a patent in Canada. Apparently, there is an annual maintenance fee for patents. For this particular patent, it would have been $185 US, and someone at Novo didn't bother to pay it. We are talking money that Novo could find in their sofa, and they didn't pay it. The year that they missed the payment was 2019. They initially applied for the patent in 2018 and paid that fee, but the renewal fee was due in 2019 and they did not pay that fee. Now, the Canadian government gave them an opportunity to pay the fee with a late fee attached to it, which brought the total needed to be paid to $331 US. They noted in the letter to Novo that it must be paid within the 1-year period of grace following the filing date anniversary, which would have been March 20th of 2019. The letter also noted that once the patent is lapsed, it cannot be renewed. They still failed to render payment, and as a result, they lost their patent for semaglutide effective as of 2026. Now, needless to say, someone likely got fired. Probably multiple people got fired over this. This mistake, missing out on payment for a few $100s, will potentially cost them millions annually in Canada. Now, there is some thought that Trump's most favored nation pricing initiative, which has a mechanism to use Section 804 importation program to try to drive prices down, will make this generic version of semaglutide available in the United States. Now, I don't share this thought, and here's why. While the patent has or will lapse in Canada, the patent is still whole in the United States until December 5th of 2031 to be exact. That patent would prevent generics of semaglutide from entering the U.S. market. Additionally, the Section 804 importation program has already been in effect for the state of Florida. The Biden administration gave Florida the approval at the beginning of 2024. So far, it has fallen well short. From the best that I can tell, not a single drug has been imported from Canada to Florida as of yet. Now, you must have a U.S. importer and a Canadian exporter, and Canada is not allowing permits to sell medications to the U.S. For example, Colorado submitted their application for the same program in 2022. In December 2023, they released a report that they were unable to find a single drug maker that was willing to sell it medicines from Canada. Canada does not want their citizens dealing with shortages of medications that they need in order to supply the U.S. That is one of the biggest hangups. So you may be able to go to Canada as an individual to get your hands on these generics, but mass importation is going to be unlikely. And unless you live on the U.S.-Canadian border and are able to drive over to get this generic semaglutide, it likely wouldn't be cost effective. But if you are Canadian, you will likely get your hands on a generic version of semaglutide sometime in 2026. Everyone else is just going to have to wait. Now, the days of patients being told to implement numerous lifestyle changes prior to being prescribed a GLP-1 just might be numbered. The American College of Cardiology is now recommending that cardiologists and other providers start seeing GLP-1s as the first-line treatment instead of a backup plan. Dr. Olivia Gilbert, who chaired the new guidance, said in a statement, patients should not be required to try and fail lifestyle changes prior to initiating pharmacotherapy. Nonetheless, lifestyle interventions should always be offered in conjunction with obesity medications. I think this will be huge as patients seek help from their providers. People have already tried all of the things before even going to a medical provider to seek help. This will hopefully make these conversations easier. So it is great that we have movement here, which is likely to transfer into the exam rooms. But there will likely still be hoops to jump through before your insurance covers these medications, even if they cover them at all.